Aloha, I'm Dale Rosenfeld, and I'm out of the dark. How many of you have renovated or built your own home? I'm guessing quite a few of you. When I started to do that, they said that that was the most stressful thing that could happen in your life, that divorces were caused by building a house. For me, building went very easily. My marriage and divorce, not so much. When I started to build and clear my land, 5 acres here on Kauai, I got a grubbing and grading permit from the building division. They came out and looked at what I was doing with a camera and a clipboard, and I passed with flying colors. I was a model citizen. Next came electrical, plumbing. They all inspected, they all had cameras and clipboards, and all of them passed us with flying colors. When I realized how severe my pain was, my cramps in my body, and I applied for a 329 card, medical cannabis card here in Hawaii, I went to a doctor. He examined me. He agreed that I met the criteria, and he had the Department of Health issue my card, my permit. I went home, no further information really given to me, and started to grow. At no time did the Department of Health come out with a camera and a clipboard. I didn't know whether I should be calling them, but I followed all of the rules. And as the rules changed, I continued my compliance. It wasn't until a few years later, bam, 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 bam. Oh, my downstairs tenant was screaming. This little old lady with disabilities. And I ran down, putting on my pareo, to find that my house was surrounded by SWAT teams, police. They demanded, "Where's your marijuana?" I pointed and didn't say anything else. They looked and they left with barely a goodbye. I didn't know enough to know that I could have said, "Where's your search warrant? Where's the Department of Health with a camera and a clipboard?" The second time the SWAT team came was about a year later. Green Harvest had flown over our house, the helicopter circling with their infrared lights. And since we knew we were in compliance, I didn't worry about it, and I went off to have a facial. My 68-year-old skin needed that. I came out to find my phone was blown up with messages. I called the sergeant back, and he was very nice. He apologized and said, "All of your plants were properly tagged. They each have to have the license number and the expiration date on them. But one of them, the tag had fallen off from the stem, and we took it." I didn't know enough to say, "Where's my receipt?" Was the Department of Health there taking pictures with their clipboards? The third time, I was hanging out, talking story with some friends, and all of a sudden we look out the window and there's 9 unmarked police SUVs, and out of them are coming man mountains, 7 feet tall, 350 pounds, with AK-47s, 2 handguns, and a sash of bullets. Oh, that makes you stop. They were polite. They asked where the grow was. And while I stood and talked with a petite woman police officer, still holding an AK-47, 2 handguns, and a sash of bullets, we discussed how I was compliant and how the rules had changed. And I still didn't know enough to say, where's the Department of Health? Why are they not here with their camera and clipboards? Why am I not having any face-to-face with that department when that's who's in charge, not the police? I'm one of 31,000 patients here in Hawaii. I'm ready to come out of the dark even further. I wonder how it is that I get to know what my rights are. How it is that as a white female, it's unlikely that the police would have arrested me. But if I had been a male or a person of color, it could have gone very badly. It's time. It's time to come out of the dark more. It's time to stop spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on SWAT teams and helicopter flyovers. It's time to do research on this plant, to allow the hospitals in Honolulu to do cancer research. It's time for my auntie, who's in her late 70s, to be able to use her medicine without feeling that she has to hide it from her grown kids. It's time for my niece to be able to go to a public school with her medicine that stops her seizures. It's more than time for the Department of Health to become our advocates, to understand what we as patients go through when we're growing or when we're consuming, and the fear that this perceived conflict with the federal law still generates. Hawaii has been legal and has authorized the medical use of cannabis since the year 2000. That's 21 years ago. We're ready for the legislation to allow it to be out of that perceived conflict, to understand that we are legal here for medical use. We're asking for legislators to learn, to connect with their constituents, to hear how the business of cannabis and the health of their patients is important. It's time to build a new house together. I hope you'll join me. Contact me if you'd like for further conscious cannabis conversations. And come out of the dark.